What's up guys, I'm the CoasertingKid, and the channel just reached 1,000 subscribers, so thank you all for that. It's been a while since I uploaded, so today to celebrate, I think I will explain the amusing parts I've visited so far, and those are, first we visited Dollywood, Six Flags America, Busch Gardens, Carowinds, and Six Flags Great Adventure, which are all really fun visits, and I think I will talk about them all now. So Dollywood, we visited there during spring break, so it was manageable crowds, but it's pretty tough. But 45-minute wait for a Wild Eagle, and that ride, it's the wing coaster. You know how you ride inside, and Wild Eagle is the first wing coaster I've ever been on. In comparison to B&M Imports, I would definitely prefer B&M Imports because it doesn't seem like the wing coasters can really go through certain elements, as fast as B&M Imports, and thus not as a wild, intense ride, but it still was intense. Some intense G's, I kind of blacked out in the loop, and the 0G1 and the coaster were the best parts of the ride by far, and that was really awesome coaster. And the good thing about Dollywood is that the 5 actually, one of them sucks Blazing Fury. So 4 coasters they have there, they're all very unique. And Thunderhead is the wooden coaster. I really loved that ride. It was just wild, pops every time, all over the place, just going every which way. Like if you look at it from above, it just looks like a mess of coasters. It's pretty insane. So the other coasters are Mystery Mine and Tennessee Tornado. They're both short rides. That Mystery Mine is longer, but the part where it's actually coastal going is very short. And Tennessee Tornado is unique because it's very smooth aero looper, and it's kind of weird going on a smooth aero looper, but it was definitely a fun ride nonetheless. And the good thing about Dollywood is they're really good at being a friendly park with food and great shows. Pretty much the best in that category, in those categories. Not exactly thrills, which is really what I care about, but it was pretty nice in that sense. But the food I had wasn't very good. But it is the best amusement park food, except Busch Gardens, which I had a very fantastic meal at. And let's talk about that next, Busch Gardens. And that was for a music trip, and that was really awesome to go there for my orchestra. And music in the parks, they called it. I went with people who don't like roller coasters to the certain, not zeroly to certain extent I do. They were too afraid to go on Open Days in Griffin, but they were my friends, so I stayed with them the entire time. But I did 3 and 4 and 2 rides in Open Days during the day, especially because it rained, and then afterwards I ditched them and went on those. and that was in the rain. It was awesome, and that was fun. But in the morning, I was with the people who don't like roller coasters that much, so we were going on those swing rides. It was kind of like let's say a carousel, but you're going around in swings. It's like the smaller starflowers. I don't know what they call it. So we were just re-riding that over and over again, and I was just like, okay. The one guy was having a blast. I'm like, okay, Jeffrey, let's ditch them. And he didn't weigh that coaster was that much anyway. But we did. We did not ditch them. And that was worth it, because then afterwards we went to Roborton, and that was the first time I've ever been to Roborton. I was there a year before, that last year, and a week after Roborton opened, but it was closed for some reason. And so we went there on the 1st anniversary of Roborton opening, and that was pretty darn cool. There was a ceremony. I got to ride it during the ceremony that was going on. It's a nice ride, but it has a nice theming. It's not exactly, it was really amazing, but it was good. And of course, Griffin and Open Day in the Apollo's Chariot were best coasters there. The fun story about Apollo's Chariot, I was trying to get my friend to ride on it with me, and he was like, he wasn't really sure about it. He went into the queue and then like, I'm not so sure. So I was like, oh, it's only 100 feet tall. It goes about 16, 15 miles per hour. You'll be able to handle it. Of course, it goes much faster than that. So afterwards, he had a really awesome ride. He loved it. That's really it for Busch Gardens. And it was a great time there. And the meal I had was really good. As I said, it was huge. With a free meal pass, obviously, because that's the benefit of going with the orchestra. And then well, before that we visited Six Flags America with our Six Flags season pass, which I have not had since I was 8, 9, I don't know, really young. And it is the park closest to us, but Six Flags America, worst park ever, just bad. It's the crappiest whatever, and it has a decent amount of thrills, and since Superman's really great, except it's a poorly designed paper coaster. It has the huge helix, which is just boring. The air time is really up there, but it's pretty bad. Batwing's just Batwing. Joker's Jeans is actually pretty fun. I think I liked it a lot better on Flay to Feel at both Teens Island and Teens Dominion. And Wild One is the oldest coaster that probably many of you and I have been on. It still has its air time, not very too rough. War and Mindbender, rough, just rough, unrideable. So Mindbender's kind of, well, I actually haven't gone there, ridden it, because I was too afraid of remembering how rough it was from the years, when I visited the park way back. And so that's really Six Flags America. So after that, I visited Carowinds with my aunt and uncle, and it was a really great time with them. They hit the jitters on roller coasters, but they still were go on them. And the best part about that day was it was during 4th of July week, a couple of days before that, and it was just no crowds, and because it was flash flooding. It's going to be a huge thunderstorm. It only rained. It only sprinkled once the entire day, and it was just no crowds. Of course, we went back to the park, and because that's a good strategy to avoid lines. And we got there, no lines. Afterburn was closed, so we went to Thunder One. Got 3 rides in that. It's a really nice coaster with some airtime, a nice original out and back Woody. And then Afterburn opened. We got 8 rides on that coaster in a row. I really do like Afterburn. It's insanely intense. Maybe a bit too intense to go on it consecutively like we could, but we still got 8 rides on Afterburn and 3 rides on Thunder One in the morning in an hour. So that's 11 rides in the first hour of the morning. We rode pretty much everything. Intimidator was the best coaster thereafter. It's a little bit ahead of Afterburn in my opinion. It is my one of the best B&M paper coasters I've been on. It has much more airtime than some others. So by the end of the day, we were on 16 rides on 17 rides on Intimidator and 16 rides on Afterburn. So that was just awesome. Be going on those 2 signature B&Ms that Carowinds have, and soon they'll also get the 300-foot roller coaster that we're all looking forward to. They still have Nighthawk and Windseeker. That was my first time on Windseeker when I was there. It's kind of like parasailing. And so that's really it with Carowinds. So the last park we visited during the year was Six Flags Great Adventure, and that is a park I've been looking forward to visiting for all of my life. It was really cool to visit there 2 times in a month. So the first time we visited Six Flags Great Adventure, we went straight to Otoro. And it said Otoro is closed because it needed an extra part, and it was terrible seeing that sign. It was like a nightmare. So that's where I went back to ride Otoro the 2nd time later that month, and it was probably the best coaster I've ever been on. It was amazing. There's so much airtime that I was up in the air, sitting on my hat, and the hat slid underneath from my butt. I lost my hat. So that was pretty awesome to have all the airtime. It's just, if you ride in the back, it's just like the ball is pulling you all over the place. It's pretty crazy intense too. I really liked El Toro. It met my insanely high expectations because I've never heard anyone say anything bad about that coaster. And it was really good. We went on it 11 times. King of the Car was, we went on that 8 times and the 2 times we visited. And it's just, 6 times. It's just pure adrenaline really. Same with Top Thrill Dragster, which is better. There isn't really that much airtime on that hump. It really just slows the coaster down at the end. So it's not worth having an extra hump. And it is fun. Nitro, which is my favorite B&M Hable. But Intimidator is my second. And it just has the airtime. And if you ride in the back, if the back has airtime, I'm not going to try the other seats. So Nitro is really fun. It's pretty long. And Bizarro, I think that is pretty underrated. I like Bizarro a lot more than Dominator. I actually didn't realize it when I was riding it. It's the only 7 inversion coaster I've been on, so I didn't realize that. And the Zero G War is probably the best part. And I always love Co-Wars. I haven't been on too many dive leaps, so Emeralds are better. Those are the 4 best coasters though. Then there's also Superman and Batman, which I've never been on those 2 clones before. And Batman to ride, it really was intense. I really did like it. I was riding it, I blacked out, so it felt like it was adding to the theme, because it was like looking at a black and white comic book. That's how I kind of related the blacking out to the ride. Just think about it positively. So I really do have a blacking out problem with the roller coasters, so it's not very good. I definitely do like the Hawks and Batwing better than Superman, even though it has the pretzel loop. It is intense. It's just not. It's not the way. It doesn't make the ride. It does make the ride, but it doesn't really make it a good ride. And the line is really long. I didn't even ride it the 2nd time I've been there. Only been on it once, so maybe my opinion isn't quite bad. Green Lantern, that was really fun. I did enjoy that. Even though I said I hate stand-up coasters, that one could be one exception. So yeah, that really is a fun ride, and it is nice, tall, fast, has the inversions. And we also did Fright Fest last time we visited, back in the early September Fright Fest, and it was fun. Definitely, but it isn't as good. It didn't really scare me that much. There weren't that many staff there to spook you. I definitely did like Carowinds back in 2011, 10 times better. That freaked me out. We went on 4, I think we did 4 of the mazes, or 3 there. No, 4. We did 4 mazes when we were there. And anything else is Six Flags Great Adventure. Kind of using these maps to help me out, yo. It's useful. So we left the park, not thinking I should ride Roaring Thunder, because I was thinking like, oh, great, they're walking mountain or whatever, and turns out it's completely gone now. So that's really it with the parks I visited this year. They are great parks. It's been the best year for me for visiting amusement parks. I've never visited 5 in 1 year. We're flying in Los Angeles, going to Six Flags Magic Mountain. Possibly Knott's Berry Farm, or take advantage of the buy one platinum pass, get 1 free visit in 2013. I'll provide another update with those 2 parts. And that's really it for this video. So leave a comment down below if you liked me seeing my face. Maybe I should do more coaster updates, which I have not. Theme park updates, which I have not been doing. I haven't been uploading anything. If I should have this set up, maybe I'll set up the other maps.